Your OBD-III brake fluid is absorbing moisture through sealed hoses right now. It is lowering its own boiling point, waiting for the one moment it gets pushed hard enough to vaporize. Carbon is baking onto the intake valves of your direct injection engine in a design that eliminated the one feature that kept them clean. Oil that is too thick cannot reach the bearings in the critical seconds after startup. And a $10 PCV valve is failing silently in millions of cars, making every single one of those problems worse, while the symptoms get blamed on everything else. This video covers none of the basics. No air filters, no tire pressure, none of that. If you already know the fundamentals, this is what comes next. 4 specific invisible failure modes. All of them active inside your car right now, none of them visible until the damage has already started. Stay for all of it. Imagine this. You are descending a long mountain grade, light traffic, moderate speed. You tap the brakes to slow down, and the pedal does not feel right. It goes further than it should. You press harder, it goes to the floor. Nothing broke. Nothing wore out. Your brake pads are fine. Your rotors are fine. What failed was a fluid. One most people have never once replaced in a car they have owned. Your brake fluid is degrading right now, and you cannot see it happening. Here is the science. Most brake fluid is rated under the Department of Transportation grading system. That includes grades 3, 4, and 5.1. All of them are glycol ether based. Glycol ether is hygroscopic. That means it actively pulls moisture from the atmosphere into itself. Not if something cracks. Not if you leave the reservoir cap off. Passively, through microscopic pores in the brake hoses, through the caliper seals, through the reservoir itself. Your brake fluid is absorbing water every single day, simply by existing inside your car. The Society of Automotive Engineers studied this in real vehicles. They found the average 1-year-old car already had 2% moisture in its brake fluid. Randomly tested vehicles in the United States, averaging 8 years old, showed an average water content greater than 2.5%. Of those vehicles, 25% had moisture levels of 4% or higher. That is 1 in 4 cars on the road, with dangerously contaminated brake fluid, with no warning light to tell anyone. Here is why those numbers are physically dangerous. Department of Transportation Grade 3 fluid has a dry boiling point of 401 degrees Fahrenheit when fresh. At just 2% water contamination, that boiling point drops by approximately 135 degrees. A car with 3 or 4 years of untouched fluid, carrying 3 to 4% moisture, can have a boiling point under 300 degrees. Most people hear that and think it will never apply to them. Here is when it does. Brake calipers generate significant heat, not during normal highway cruising, but on a long downhill, while towing, during a hard stop. When contaminated fluid reaches its lowered boiling point inside the caliper, it vaporizes. Vapor is compressible. The pedal goes soft. This is called vapor lock. It is not a mechanical failure. It is a chemistry failure. And it is completely invisible until the exact moment it happens. The fix takes 1 appointment and costs $30 to $50 at most shops. Flush the brake fluid every 2 years. That is it. For the price of a dinner, you eliminate caliper corrosion, anti-lock braking system valve damage, and the exact scenario described at the start of this section. Most people have never done it once. Now you know why it matters. That was one invisible failure mode. The next one is structural. It is built into the most common engines sold today, and there is nothing you can put in your fuel tank to fix it. Do you drive a car built in the last 10 to 15 years? If your answer is yes, there is a real chance you have a direct injection engine. Think Ford EcoBoost engines from 2010 to present, General Motors 2, 0T Ecotec turbocharged 4 and 6 cylinders, Volkswagen EA 888-2, 0T engines, Audi, BMW, Honda turbocharged 4 cylinders, and Hyundai and Kia. Gasoline direct injection is now the dominant fuel system sold globally. It is more efficient, more powerful, and cleaner than what it replaced. It also has a flaw that the industry has known about for over a decade. In the older port fuel injection design, the injector sprayed fuel at the back of the intake valve. Every time the engine ran, that fuel spray washed the valve. Fuel detergents made contact directly with the metal surface. It was an accidental self-cleaning system that nobody designed on purpose. It just worked. In a direct injection engine, the fuel skips the intake valve entirely. It goes straight into the combustion chamber. The valves never see fuel. They never get washed. The valves do see something else though. Every single time the engine runs, they are exposed to oily vapor. Every engine produces a small amount of combustion gas that slips past the piston rings into the crankcase. That gas is called blow-by. The crankcase ventilation system routes it back through the intake manifold. Those gases carry a fine mist of oil. That mist coats the back of the intake valves. The engine heat bakes it onto the metal surface. And the process repeats every cycle, every mile, for the life of the engine. Here is where it gets worse. There is no warning, no light, no sound, just build-up, invisible behind the intake manifold, compounding quietly until the symptoms appear and nobody can explain them. Technical service bulletins from the late 90s and early 2000s began documenting drivability problems in the earliest direct injection engines around the 3-year or 30,000-mile mark. Misfire codes, stumbling, fuel trim irregularities. Data from surveys of roughly 33,000 vehicles found that 1 in 6 Volkswagen and Audi 2-liter turbocharged engines reported carbon-related problems over a 2-year window. BMW and other German manufacturers showed similarly elevated rates. American direct injection engines showed the problem less frequently, though researchers noted that software calibration and valve timing patterns played a significant role in how quickly deposits formed. Here is what catches most owners completely off guard. You cannot fix this by putting cleaner in the fuel tank. Buy top-tier certified gasoline like Shell, V-Power, Chevron, Techron, or Mobile, one fuel at every fill-up. You absolutely should. But those detergents pass through the combustion side. The intake valve sits upstream of where the fuel enters in a direct injection engine. The detergent never reaches them. The only real fix for significant buildup is walnut shell blasting. A technician removes the intake manifold, positions a pressurized nozzle at each valve, and blasts the deposits away with crushed walnut media. Hard enough to remove carbon, soft enough not to scar metal. Shops that do this service regularly describe what comes off high-mileage direct injection valves as a hard, black crust, built up over tens of thousands of miles of baking oil vapor. The best preventive steps are simple. Use top-tier certified gasoline at every fill-up. Stay current on oil changes. And if you have a turbocharged direct injection engine, ask your shop about your crankcase ventilation system at each service interval. This is why enthusiasts install aftermarket oil catch cans. They trap oily vapor before it reaches the intake. That last part connects directly to the final section of this video, and it matters more than most people realize. If this is the level of content you want every week, subscribe right now. Specific, sourced, stuff that actually matters. Hit the button. Here is a belief that will bother some people to hear because it contradicts something that gets repeated constantly. Thicker oil protects your engine better. Most enthusiasts believe this. The marketing on high-mileage oil bottles is built around it. The forum advice repeats it endlessly. And for modern engines, it is wrong in a specific and sometimes catastrophic way. Here is the engineering. Old engines had relatively loose tolerances between moving parts, wider gaps. Higher viscosity oil filled those gaps and formed a protective film. For that era of hardware, the logic was correct. Modern engines are engineered differently. The clearances between the crankshaft journals and the main bearings are intentionally tighter than those in previous generation engines. That tighter design is what allows manufacturers to specify low viscosity oil, grades like 0 weight 20 and 5 weight 30. Think about what that means at the moment you turn the key. The engine passages, the bearing clearances, the entire oiling system architecture, all of it was built and tested around those thin grades. When you run thicker oil than specified, it cannot flow fast enough through those tight clearances at startup. The first seconds after ignition are the highest wear period in any engine's life. That is when oil pressure is climbing and cold components are contracting. Every surface needs protection immediately. If the oil is too thick to move quickly through the passages it needs to reach, those surfaces are running metal to metal while the oil catches up. Research published by the Society of Automotive Engineers confirms this. In studies of modern tight-tolerance engines, higher base stock viscosity produced measurably more stress during cold starts, the exact moment when protection matters most. The geometry was designed for thin oil. Running thick oil in it is not added insurance, it is a mismatch. And here is the part that most people never hear, and almost nobody in the enthusiast community connects to oil choice. Turbocharged direct injection engines are susceptible to low-speed pre-ignition. This is an uncontrolled combustion event that fires before the spark plug does. The pressure spike it creates inside the cylinder is far beyond anything the engine was designed to withstand. It can destroy a piston in a single firing event. General Motors first documented it in European markets as early as 2007. Multiple manufacturers have since issued technical service bulletins. Here is what research eventually traced it to. The primary culprit is not viscosity at all. It is a specific additive found in many conventional and high-mileage oils, calcium-based detergent packages. Studies coordinated by Southwest Research Institute and the major additive manufacturers found that calcium concentrations above roughly 1,500 parts per million dramatically increased low-speed pre-ignition events. This is why the American Petroleum Institute introduced the SP oil specification in 2020, and the newer ILSAC GF7 specification introduced in 2025 specifically to address this. If your turbocharged direct injection engine requires an oil-meeting SP, GF6, or GF7, and you are running an older oil that does not carry that rating, you are running chemistry that has been directly linked to catastrophic combustion events. The fix requires two things, not one. Open your owner's manual, find the required viscosity grade, then confirm the oil you buy carries the current API SP certification or newer. Those two numbers together are the protection. Now everything covered so far, the carbon buildup, the oil, the brake fluid, all of it has a single small part connecting underneath it. When this part fails, every other problem on this list gets worse. It costs between $5 and $30. Almost nobody replaces it on schedule. Every gasoline engine produces blow-by. Those are the combustion gases that slip past the piston rings into the crankcase on every single firing event. The positive crankcase ventilation valve draws those gases back into the intake manifold to be burned off cleanly. Without a functioning positive crankcase ventilation valve, that gas accumulates. Crankcase pressure rises, oil gets forced past gaskets and seals. But here is what most people do not understand about how it fails. It does not set off a warning light. It does not make the engine stall. It degrades slowly. Mechanics describe the failure as progressive. Drivers adjust to the symptoms over weeks and months without identifying the cause. A slight rough idle that was not there before. Oil consumption that cannot be explained by visible leaks. A hesitation under light acceleration. These symptoms get attributed to other things: bad gas, age, worn rings, while the real cause is an $8 part on a schedule nobody kept. This is the part where it all clicks together. The oily vapor that coats and carbonizes intake valves in direct injection engines travels through the crankcase ventilation system. A healthy, positive crankcase ventilation valve regulates that flow. A failing one does not. It allows excess oily vapor into the intake stream, accelerating the carbon buildup process beyond what the direct injection design already creates on its own. For a direct injection engine owner with a degraded positive crankcase ventilation valve, the carbon buildup rate is higher than it would be with a functioning valve. That means the walnut blasting interval comes sooner, and the consequences compound faster. A stuck-closed positive crankcase ventilation valve causes crankcase pressure to rise until oil forces its way past every seal and gasket available. The leaks start, the oil consumption begins. The owner spends money chasing seals when the actual problem is a valve that costs less than a car wash. A stuck-open valve draws excess crankcase vapor through the intake. Oil burns alongside fuel. The owner concludes the engine is worn. The actual problem is a $10 part. Most manufacturers do not specify a universal replacement interval for the positive crankcase ventilation valve, which is part of the problem. The broadly accepted guidance from mechanics and technical sources is inspection every 30,000 to 50,000 miles, with replacement in that same window. For turbocharged engines, which run hotter and produce more blow-by pressure, many technicians recommend every 20,000 to 30,000 miles. The part costs between $5 and $30 for virtually every common passenger car engine. Leave a degraded one in place and you get gasket failures, engine sludge, and accelerated carbon buildup on the intake valves. Stay with it long enough and the oil loss becomes serious enough to cause internal engine damage. That is one of the worst cost-to-consequence ratios in all of automotive maintenance. Think about the kind of person who watches a video like this. They changed their oil, they checked their tires, they did what the sticker said, and then they were surprised. The engine started burning oil. The check engine light came on for a misfire, the brakes felt soft on a downhill run, and nobody at the shop could give them a clean explanation for why. The information in this video is why, not dramatic failures. not negligence. Just small, invisible things working quietly inside a sealed system that nobody explained before the damage started. Your OBD-III brake fluid is absorbing moisture through sealed hoses right now. Carbon is baking onto the intake valves of your direct injection engine in a design that eliminated the one feature that kept them clean. Oil that carries the wrong additive chemistry is linked to combustion events that can destroy a piston in a single cycle. And a positive crankcase ventilation valve is failing silently in millions of cars, while the symptoms get blamed on everything else. Every car built in the last 15 years has at least one of these vulnerabilities. Most have all of them. You understand them now. That changes how you maintain your car. That changes what you ask your shop. That changes what you catch before it becomes expensive. That is the difference. If you want this level of content every week, specific, verified, and genuinely useful for people who actually care about their cars, subscribe. The button is right there. The next video is already worth your time. Take care of the engine. The engine will take care of you.